Hi everyone, this is Triana again. I'm here to talk to you about postpartum and what's normal. I'm going to go over what's not in a later series, but today I'm just going to talk about what's normal. So, normal postpartum, your body's healing. You can expect some discomfort. You've just gone through a marathon of pregnancy, and now a marathon of recovery is ahead of you, or a marathon of labor, and now a marathon of recovery is ahead of you. So you've gone through 2 marathons, and you've got 1 more to go, and you can do this. And I want you to keep in mind that everything I'm about to go over is normal. When things go outside of that is when you want to call your provider. Then, like I said, I'm going to do that series a little bit later. So don't rush recovery. Recovery is so important, whether you've had a cesarean or a vaginal delivery. However your baby was born, you have still gone through a major process, and your body still needs to recover. You need a time of transition for you and for baby. You're transitioning from being a mom with a child in the womb to being a mom with a child outside the womb, and this child is transitioning into a new life, a new beginning. And so it's important to honor that time of transition. Don't just get back to the normal way of living right away. Just give yourself a minute. There's a 5-5-5 rule. I tell my clients, stay in bed for 2 weeks, but this is a little bit easier way to manage it. So you stay in bed for 5 days, where you're just sleeping, nursing, reading, watching TV, only up to use the restroom, and use sitz baths while you're in the restroom. And then 5 days on the bed. So you limit out of bed trips to 30 minutes or less. You may want to sit outside for fresh air, but you're not really doing anything yet. And then 5 days around the bed. You can go for really short walks. Definitely stay around the bed. Like, take a couple naps a day, maybe even 3 or 4. You're not getting up much. You want to nurse in bed if you can. Those kinds of things. And then hopefully you're starting to feel more like yourself, and you can ease back into more of a normal routine. You want to ask your provider when your follow-up visits are, what kinds of things that they need to hear from you otherwise about. From pregnancy and birth history, what do they think your postpartum experience is going to be like? What's different about your postpartum experience than maybe I will be going over in this slide? So healthy postpartum still has a lot of stuff going on. You're going to expect a little vaginal soreness, incision soreness, depending on how baby was born, maybe even both. If we had a vaginal delivery that actually baby started to come out and then got stuck, and we ended up having to do a cesarean and pull baby out the other way. And we could have a lot of healing points. You can have bowel movement issues, or slowed bowel movement, hemorrhoids. You can have vaginal discharge. You can have, you definitely will have bleeding, which is lochia, as a vaginal discharge. You'll have after pains, which is your uterus continuing to involute or go back to normal size. You can have breast changes. You definitely should have breast changes as your milk comes in. And you can have baby blues, which is normal, but you need to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't become something more. So postpartum soreness, the vaginal soreness can be supported through sitz baths or peri bottles or witch hazel, all sorts of wonderful things that you can do to support the soreness of your vaginal opening. This is such a sweet photo of her in the sitz bath with her child, which is a wonderful way to honor that time with you and your baby together. Incision soreness, you can have issues with movement. You can try to consider different feeding positions. I talk about this in my infant feeding series, but different ways to feed baby, like a football position where you're not feeding baby directly over the scar. You don't want to be lifting anything, and you want to use a belly binder as it was prescribed by your provider. So bowel movements, sometimes people really worry that they shouldn't be pushing anything out. And so sometimes constipation happens just from that fear, and sometimes it happens because of narcotics that were delivered for either recovery or during the labor. And so you want to stay hydrated. You want to stay hydrated for a lot of reasons: postpartum, healing, bowel movements, and nursing. And you want to eat fiber-rich foods to help everything keep moving. And if you need to take a stool softener, definitely don't be shy about asking for that from your provider. You could have hemorrhoids. It's pretty common to have hemorrhoids after pushing, especially if you are pushing for a long period of time. And so you may notice some bleeding or itching or pain. They should resolve within a few days. but you still want to get them treated. So ask your provider to get you like some arnica gel or whatever they provide for keeping the inflammation down around the site. They sometimes provide like specific, almost enema-like creams that you put in the base of the rectum to help keep the inflammation down. So ask your provider for support on that. Don't hide that you got hemorrhoids during pushing. They may not think to look, and so you want to ask for support with that. Yet doing those sitz baths, I like the donut pillow idea a little bit, but also it can put extra pressure on the perineum and push those hemorrhoids out even more. So be really careful not to use a donut pillow too often. Try to prevent constipation by doing the fiber-rich foods and staying hydrated, and that will help with that. You can also retract them manually, so pushing them back in to the rectum can help bring down the inflammation of them also and ease the comfort of them. You will have postpartum bleeding. This is called lochia. It can last anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. It needs to change and slowly get better. And if you're seeing it do the opposite, then that's when you need to stop working so much, slow down, and maybe call your provider if it's getting way worse. So it's going to start off with that nice normal red bleeding like you would have during a period, but then it's beginning to become more watery and move to pinkish, brownish, and then a yellow-white. And if it doesn't continue in that direction, then that means you're overworking your postpartum body. So you need to not overwork your postpartum body. You need to take it slow and help your body heal. And we have this wonderful indicator, which is our lochia, to help us do that. So you want to rest, empty your bladder often, and then breastfeeding can help cramp down your uterus quicker so that the bleeding stops quicker. Adult diapers are a great alternative to pads in this time because it's just a lot of bleeding and you're trying to rest. And so it's really nice to just have 1 pack or 2 packs of those on hand for the postpartum phase, depending on if you're normally a heavy bleeder or not. That tends to also mean if you might need a little bit more time with the heavy bleeding postpartum. So 1 or 2 packs of those to get you through that time at home. After pains are your uterus involuting, like I said, where it tends to shrink down at sharp moments in time. It does these like intense moments of shrinkage when you're nursing. So you tend to nurse and then you get sharp pains of your uterus basically contracting back down. Not nearly like it was contracting during birth, because there's nothing it's pushing against, but it just needs to go back to that small size at the bottom of your pelvic floor. So it takes about 5 days to a week before the after pains go away for some people. Some people don't feel them at all. And then you can help them by like the same way you would help cramps, like heat pads, Epsom salt baths, massaging the uterus. You can push down on the top of it to kind of help it go down a little bit better, make sure it's nice and firm, that kind of thing. So your colostrum is going to come in right after baby's born, and then around 3 to 4 days, you'll get your first production of milk. You will find that some providers get a little antsy for that milk to come in, but give your body time. You have 4 days until you need to start worrying. At the end of that 4-day mark, don't even start worrying about it at all until that's over. You will notice breast changes, your breasts will engorge, and then you will have milk. So they'll feel that firm feeling, and that's the engorgement, and then they'll start leaking, and that's when you know you have that mature milk. So baby blues. Baby blues is when you just kind of get all of that release of hormone. All of a sudden, all that oxytocin is starting to fade away, and your body went from the highest high it's ever felt to a pretty darn even keel again, but it doesn't feel even keel. It feels a little swinging the other direction. And it's normal. 5 days to 2 weeks postpartum. It's not supposed to last very long. If it does, you need to get support, and it could be something more severe. So you just want to ask your provider what types of comfort measures do they suggest? Do they have any office hours in case you have any questions? Are they really available to you postpartum? Oftentimes providers that deliver expect the pediatrician to take over from there, and they don't really see you until about your 6-week postpartum appointment. And so I've been asking if they might have options for checking in with you or other appointments that you might be able to come to see them at. So We'll go over the warning signs that come next in the next section, but that was what a healthy postpartum should look like and what you can expect. And I hope that that was helpful and informative. If you have any questions, as always, please reach out, triannawade.com. I'm super thankful for these opportunities to teach you guys, to help you out, and please don't hesitate to ask if you need any follow-up. Thanks so much.